Yo, 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 yo. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ski. We live. We back. We back. I'm watching some Bob Dylan, John Lennon in the background, so excuse that. They was just riding around in a car back in the 70s and having a very interesting conversation. Yeah, your boy's back. I mean, I just got back from vacation. I was in DR for the past 6 days, man. Just got back yesterday. Man, celebrating big birthday 37 out in Puerto Plata, out in Sosua. I was going back and forth. Man, had a time, bro. Shout out to DR, man. That was my 5th time going. I love the Dominican Republic. Shoot, I'm about to get a DR passport to go with the Nigerian passport, to go with the American passport. About to get a triple citizenship. But yeah, we gonna chop it up real quick. I promised y'all I'd go live more, and we're gonna do that. Let's talk about it. NFL salary cap. The news has come out. Let me make sure I get the numbers correct. Adam Schefter just reported that the salary cap officially is going up, and because it's going to go up every single year. That's just the way adjusted inflation goes. Shout out to Dan Graziano too of ESPN. Shout out to Adam Schefter on top of the news as always. Let me read this and get this quote accurate. The NFL today informed teams that the 2025 salary cap will fall in the range of $277.5 million to $281.5 million, way up from last year's $255.4 million. That means the cap will have increased by more than $53 million over the last 2 years. So what does that mean for your favorite teams out there with free agency right around the corner, with the draft right around the corner? Free agency hits first. That'll be in March, and then the draft will be in April. What it means is it's time to the price of the brick just went up. There will be more spending in free agency this year, and your teams need to go out and spend money. It's just that simple. Your teams need to go out and spend money, which brings us to America's team. How about them Cowboys? Like, listen, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear about the pie. I don't want to hear about no nonsense about not being able to afford free agency. Because last year, we already know the soft rebuild took place. A lot of cap, a lot of lies. You already know what it is. You Go Boy Media. Like, subscribe, share. New episodes on the way. I want to hear the excuses this time if the Cowboys don't use free agency. I want to hear the excuses. Because the reigning defending heavyweight champions of the football world, the Philadelphia Eagles, somehow, some way, with Jalen Hurts making about $50 million a year, somehow, some way, they were able to sign Saquon Barkley in free agency last year. Somehow, some way, they were able to re-sign A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Somehow, some way, the Eagles have monopoly money, and everybody else in the NFL, they have nothing. Like miss me all the way with the BS that you don't have money. Because the Micah Parsons contract, we're jumping all around today. We're live today. the Micah Parsons deal, if anything, the sooner the Cowboys get that deal done, they're going to actually save money. You know what I mean? And to think that Dallas is going to use the same BS excuses last year. Well, we're going to go all in and re-sign our guys. That's just what we're going to do. And then we're done. We got the draft and we'll re-sign our guys. Draft, re-sign our guys. That's going to be enough to get a Lombardi trophy. That business model does not work. I'm going to say it one more time right in the camera. That business model does not work. To think that you are just going to re-sign your own free agents, draft guys, sign some college undrafted free agents, sign some bargain basement bullshit at the end of free agency right before training camp, and think that's going to be enough to compete with the elite teams in the NFL, you're fooling yourselves. And what I appreciate about Will McClay and what I appreciate about the energy and what I'm hearing out of Dallas this offseason is they're looking to do things differently, possibly. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll be a doubting Thomas until I see them actually cashing their chips and make it happen. But let me let you guys in on it. Shout out to my boy Mike Fisher with Sports Illustrated. He actually has a book, Stars and Stripes, chronicling the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s and the trauma. But he came out with a $100 million cap room plan. And I talked about this on the You Go Boy podcast, Sports Talk. Shout out to Mongo. Love you, dog. New episodes on the way. The Cowboys, there's a $100 million plan in place that the Cowboys can open up salary cap space to do whatever the hell they want to do in free agency before the draft. Notice how free agency is before the draft. The purpose of free agency is to allow you to draft freely, to not force picks, to not, you know what, we really need a left tackle here because we sat in our hands and we sat on our asses and didn't go out and get some depth in free agency. We really need a wide receiver here. We really need a defensive end here. We really need a defensive tackle here because we didn't do jack shit in free agency. We really need. You see how that business model doesn't work? Shout out to Steak Sandwich. He's always hopping in the chat doing God's work. The purpose of free agency is for Jerry Jones to take a nap. Exactly. He takes a nap on his yacht during free agency. Matter of fact, last year in free agency, the Cowboys were promoting a professional bull riding tour, I think. Stephen Jones had his freaking had his chaps and his freaking leather vest on and cowboy hat while free agency was going on, talking about rodeos while everybody else is fortifying their team. While the Eagles were preparing to make a Super Bowl run, Dallas was getting ready for a professional bull riding tour. Priorities. It's not winning, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, here's the plan. Here's the plan in play. Jerry Jones is that absentee father that pops up for birthdays every other year. Savage. I might have to get the Savage soundboard. I might have to get the soundboard in place. Steak Sandwich is on one as always. Love you, dog. You're the GOAT. But here's some nuggets from the $100 million salary cap game plan. All right, listen. You can restructure CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. You restructure Dak Prescott's deal, that's $40 million right there. You restructure CeeDee Lamb, that's $20 million right there. You sign Micah Parsons to a long-term contract, that's $10 million right there. That's $70 million right there. That's $70 million. All right. Not to mention, if you make a cut here or two of, say, a Terrence Steele or whoever, that's another $5 to $10 million. $100 million Dallas can open up before free agency starts. If they decide not to, it's a choice. It's a choice. Listen to me. You go boy ites, the Yatzee Nation. Listen to me. If Dallas chooses not to open up anywhere between $90 to $100 million in salary cap room, it's a choice. It's not because they can't. So this bullshit that Stephen Jones or Jerry Jones, the pie, we only have so much pie to go around, and whatever other Jerry euphemisms or Stephen euphemisms Catboy wants to spew out, it's not true. You can go to overthecap.com right now, overthecap.com right now, and check out every single team's salary cap situation. So to think that Dallas is just this cash-strapped organization, listen, they can't do anything. They just don't have any money, is not true. It's just not true, man. We do unfiltered, authentic conversations. That's what we do on the You Go Boy podcast. That's what we do on this channel. That's what we do on every single episode. That's what we do on every single live. And I'm telling you guys, as loud as I possibly can, I'm telling you guys into my blue mic, into my Logi camera. I look great, by the way. It's like 4K resolution. Can't beat that. I'm telling you guys, Dallas can do whatever they want in free agency. If they don't, they're choosing not to. Because the business model of re-signing your players and going 99% on drafted players only does not work. You will not win a Super Bowl that way. And again, this has sickened me this entire few weeks with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. But Howie Roseman has figured out how to do this. I mentioned it in the last live. I've mentioned it this entire season up to the Super Bowl with the Eagles knocking off the Chiefs. It's not just about drafting, because the Eagles draft very well. The Eagles take the best player on the board. Of course, they have their misses. Every team has misses. Every team misses on first-round picks from time to time. Every team misses on second and third-round picks from time to time. There are busts in every single draft. But the good teams that are in the playoffs every year and that are competing for Super Bowls, they mitigate the risk of the draft with free agency. If I get enough impact free agents, if I trade for enough impact free agents, I can draft freely. And when I get a bust or a few busts on my hand, because it's going to happen, it's 50-50 at best, I got proven talent in free agency via trades and signing guys. When you go 99% on the draft, if you have a bad draft or a poor draft, you're fucked. You are. Dallas went all in on the draft this year. What did it get them? 7 and 10. They're picking in the top 15. They're the 12th overall pick in the draft. They missed the playoffs by about 4 or 5 games because they decided we have the draft. We're going to sign some bargain basement bullshit, a couple guys right before the season starts, like, hey, we use free agency. Hey, we got some guys from outside. No, get proven guys. Because again, when you get proven guys in free agency, when you get guys that are actually have a track record that aren't just retreads, this guy was good 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, this guy was a first-round draft pick. 4 or 5 years ago, this guy was a Pro Bowler. Those are the type of guys that Stephen Jones is just rubbing his hands like Birdman. He's like, man, I can't wait to get me that veteran minimum defensive end and make him a starter. I can't wait. Nah, man. Nah. Free agency opens in a few weeks. That is going to tell the story for for your favorite team. Teams that typically don't use free agency, they don't win. And I'm not saying on day one, drop $500 million on the first guy. I'm not saying to do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. But the first week, the first wave of free agency, within the first 3 to 4 days, you better sign some guys. You better sign some guys in the first week. The first 3 to 5 business days of free agency, you better get busy. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in the same position. So, hop in the comments. I see you, Steak Sandwich. Hop in the comments. Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions going. Why is free agency important? Who are some free agents you guys would like to see come to Big D? Or who are some big names in this free agency cycle that's about to start? Myles Garrett, he has let it be known throughout the entire universe. He wants out of Cleveland. Where's he going to go? Who's going to trade for him? Don't be shocked if it's Washington. Don't be shocked if Philly somehow pulls that off. I'd love for Dallas to pair up Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. That's the Avengers right there on the defensive line. F what you heard. I'd love to see that. You know what I mean? But the salary cap is the price of the brick is going up. In the words of Marlowe from The Wire, man. So goodness gracious, but let's get to Micah Parsons' new deal, because this is in line with the free agency plan that we talked about. Micah Parsons is due for a new contract. The Cowboys can make that happen any day. They can re-sign him today. They can re-sign him right now, today. On February 19th, 3 days after my birthday. It was a beautiful birthday. Shout out to DR again. Viva la Dominicana. They can sign him right now. And this is my fear. this is the fear of every Dallas Cowboy fan, is before week 1, the Cowboys opener, whenever that is, that's when Dallas decides to announce the Micah Parsons deal. That's my biggest fear. That's everyone's biggest fear, because they did it with, and we've seen it before, they did it with Dak Prescott. The foolishness of this organization sometimes is mind-blowing. The foolishness is on another level. You re-sign your franchise quarterback on the day of your first game. What if Dak would have sat out? What if he would have held out? What are you going to do then? Because we saw what happened when CeeDee Lamb held out. The chemistry between Dak and CeeDee was off the entire season. The entire season. So yes, congratulations, slow clap. You got new deals done with them. But CeeDee missed pretty much the entire offseason, all the OTAs, all the voluntary OTAs, all the mandatory OTAs, all of training camp. CeeDee Lamb was just home chilling. He's like, yeah, I mean, you know, they know what it is. They know the price of the brick went up. So when they run me my coins, they don't show up. And they did. But you wanted to play games. You wanted to play reindeer games instead of re-signing a top 5 receiver. So now insert Micah Parsons. And trust me, if Micah doesn't get his bag, you ain't going to see him in preseason. He doesn't play in preseason anyway, but you're not going to see him on the sideline. You're not going to see him at OTAs. You're not going to see him at minicamp. You're not going to see him at training camp. He's going to be chilling. He's going to be at the crib. Or he might go to Cabo. Or he might go to DR. Shoot, Micah, go to DR. I know he's got a girl, but go to Punta Cana. Stay out of Puerto Plata. That's what the big boys play. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, shout out to Steak Sandwich. Myles Garrett in Washington. Listen, they have the money and they've got the draft picks to do it. That's why I think there's a very good chance Myles Garrett does go to Washington, because they've got their top 5 right now in salary cap room. Because remember, when you're trash, when your team is shitty for a number of years, nobody wants to go there. So your salary cap room just expands each and every year. So they got all this untapped salary cap room from not signing anybody because they've been garbage the past few years. And now that Jaden Daniels has come to town and he's on a rookie deal, man, they signed like 12 or 14 free agents last year. Trust me, Washington's going to get busy this offseason. They're going to sign a lot of free agents because they got money to play with. And a first-round pick for Washington right now is in the 20s. Like, they were in the NFC Championship game last year. I would gladly flip a first-round pick that's in the 20s, especially in a very light, thin NFL draft this year. There's only I've been watching draft shows for the past 2 months. There's only about 11 or 12 first-round draft grades on guys. This is not like last year. Like, the strongest position this year is defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman. You know what I mean? And you can get one in the second round all the way up to the third round. No, it's not a bunch of can't miss wide receivers and can't miss quarterbacks and can't miss defensive ends. This is a very, very watered down, lukewarm NFL draft. So if you're picking in the 20s, take that pick. Take that pick, take it. And take next year's too. You mean to tell me if Washington doesn't give up 2 number ones, might throw in a player or 2, maybe another mid-round conditional pick, you mean Cleveland is not going to take that? And on top of that, Washington can give Myles Garrett a new contract because they got so much cap room. Listen, they got the picks and they got the cap room. Like, listen, we'll trade for you and we'll give you a new contract, and you're on an instant contender right now. Because Cleveland, they're not going nowhere. They ain't even got a quarterback. They talk about Shedeur Sanders at number 2 or Cam Ward at number 2, hoping and praying one of those guys is a franchise quarterback. You know, I'm rooting for both of them because they're both brothers. But from every single draft show I've watched, nobody's really high on Cam and Shedeur or Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe as being like, yo, or Dylan Gabriel from Oregon sitting back like, yo, these are generational guys. Nobody's looking at this quarterback class. They very well could be wrong. Cam, Shedeur, they could be like that, but nobody's calling this a generational quarterback class. G-word, as we say on my show. You know what I mean? So yeah, Myles Garrett in Washington, that'd be spooky season, because again, they still got Payne and Allen in the interior as well. You add Lord have mercy. You add Myles Garrett. They still got a bunch of Cowboys, ex-Cowboys on there, Fowler and Armstrong as well. Yeah, Washington. Again, they were a game away from the Super Bowl last year. Washington's going to be better next year. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Micah Parsons needs a new contract. Dallas needs to not play games. Pay this man. Pay him his money. Pay him. Because the longer you wait, the more time you're wasting. The longer you wait, the more time you're wasting. Pay him. It's not like you're not going to pay him, and you're not going to trade him either. The Cowboys aren't trading Micah Parsons. We talked about this on the last stream. He's not going anywhere. Pay him. You should have paid him last year. Actually, you should have paid him 2 years ago, honestly, because, yeah, you had to pay CD and you had to pay Dak. But Micah Parsons' contract needs to be the first priority. And after Micah's deal, hit those restructures. Restructure Dak. Dak right now has a $90 million cap hit. He's not going to make $90 million next year. They're going to restructure that. He'll make somewhere around 40 to 50, which is in line with all the top 10 quarterbacks. You know what I mean? And CeeDee Lamb, I think he's scheduled to make something like 30 or 40 million. He's not going to make that next year. Restructure that to help the cap. But getting Micah Parsons deals done. That is the catalyst. That is the key. That's the key. All right? Get that deal done so you can make waves in free agency. Because if Dallas doesn't get busy in free agency, it doesn't matter what they do in the draft. It's not going to be enough. Because this is what happens in the playoffs. Even in those 12-5 years. Remember, Dallas went 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 under Mike McCarthy, who's unemployed, by the way. He'll be on a NBC or Fox or ESPN set near you. He ain't coaching the NFL anytime soon, just like Jason Garrett. Steak sandwich, you ain't lying. Anybody goes to Cleveland, they're going to be cooked for a couple years. You know, I don't know what their GM situation is looking like, but they're in a full rebuild, to be honest with you. Sidebar, Nick Chubb, I believe he's going to be available in free agency. Dallas, go sign Nick Chubb. Go get Nick Chubb. Pair up Nick Chubb with Ashton Genty or Gordon or Hampton or Caleb Johnson. This is a great year. So it's a thin year for a lot of positions. Defensive tackle, running back. Super Adele rolling in the deep. Those positions are deep. Man, if your team needs a running back and they don't grab one of these high-end dudes on night 2 or night 3 of the draft, they hustling backwards. They hustling backwards, man. You know what I mean? But Cleveland needs a lot of work. Steak sandwich, you ain't lying. But yeah, like, again, I'm interested to see what happens in the next few weeks because the NFL scouting combine right around the corner. That's the first domino. You know what I mean? These kids they're already making money with NIL money coming in from Nike and Mustard and car dealerships and Under Armour and Adidas. You know what I mean? Now it's time to show up and show out. It's the underwear Olympics. That's what I call the scouting combine. You know what I mean? Guys are going to pull up and run their 40 times and this, that, and the third. They're going to run some drills too. Pro days are around the corner too. This is one of my favorite parts of the offseason. I'm a junkie, man. I'm a nerd for real, not just with Marvel and DC, as you can tell from the posters, but I love draft season. You know, shout out to Vach Lombardi, shout out to Law Nation, shout out to Aisha Morrison, shout out to DLLS Sports, you know, Jesse Holly, Clarence Hill, Jeff Kavanaugh, Joe Hoyt. You know what I mean? Like, this is draft season. Skywalker Steele, Foots the King. Shout out Jay Tuck. Shout out to all the content creators. Shout out, of course, my man Dave Sturchio, the first guest on the You Go Boy podcast, which turns 3 in June. Can't wait for that. You know what I mean? Again, we're just content creators. We're just bringing, again, what do I always say? We bring you facts. What you guys choose to do with it is up to you. But the draft season is upon us, but free agency is first. Scouting combine is going to take place, but free agency is going to be here before you know it. And with the salary cap going up, it's time for your team to get busy in free agency. We got some more people that joined the chat. Throw some comments in. Who's going where? What trades are going to happen? Who's getting moved? Who do you guys want to see get moved? Who's going number one overall? We talking about it all, man. The salary cap is going up. The price of the brick just went up. This is the Wire, NFL. Man, I love it. It's super exciting, man. You can't get enough of it. But yeah, I mean, again, this is what I'm saying. This is the point I was making before about why free agency is a necessity. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. Even when Dallas was going 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, the reason why Dallas never made headway in the playoffs, because at the key positions, they didn't do enough in free agency. Impact players decide Super Bowls. That's on offense and defense. I'm going to say that one more time. Impact players decide Super Bowls. Not just drafted players, free agents, and guys that came over in trades. Again, look at the reigning defending world champions. Was A.J. Brown drafted by the Eagles? No, I think he was traded for on draft night from the Tennessee Titans. That GM needs to be brought up on war crimes. He was fired, by the way, whatever the hell his name was. I'm not even going to say his name because he's trash. Was Zach Bond drafted by the Eagles? No, he was traded for from the Saints. Was C.J. Gardner-Johnson? Was he drafted by the Eagles? No, he was signed in free agency, spent a year in Detroit. I could keep going. You don't use if you don't use free agency, you will not win. It's just that simple. You need both. You need free agency and you needed the draft. Yes, the Eagles drafted every Georgia defensive player they could possibly think of. Smith, Carter, Davis, Nakobe Dean, Kylie Ringo. Lord, they'd hire Kirby Smart if he wasn't under contract to be on the coaching staff. That's true. But they got busy in free agency. That's the difference. That's the difference right there. You can't just use the draft. It's not enough. What did Kendrick say? It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. The draft is not enough. If your team does not sign impact players in free agency, you're not going to win in late December, in January, and you're not playing in February. And this championship drought, which is going on 30 years now for the Cowboys, there was a time where Dallas used to get busy in free agency. Long, long ago, in a land far, far away, Dallas was trading for guys like Charles Haley, Hall of Famer. They were signing in free agency Deion Sanders. I still got his poster in this room. I picked it up at a book fair in grade school. Him standing on the world. Water covers 3/4 of the earth. I cover the rest. Deion Sanders. Bars. You know what I mean? Like you get impact players in free agency to add to what you're doing in the draft. That's how it works. That's how you win chips. And the salary cap just went up. The salary cap just went up. There's no excuse to not participate in free agency. It's a choice. It's a choice. If you want to just, you know what? We got the draft. We draft guys. That's enough. We re-sign our own players. That's enough. It's not enough. Kendrick said it. It's not enough. Turn the TV off. Turn the championships off. It's not enough. You need to do both. So, man, we coming up on 30 minutes. We'll hang out here a little longer. If you guys got any questions, any comments, throw it in the chat before we get up out of here, man. But NFL free agency is upon us. We're going to have an NFL draft super show, as always, on the You Go Boy podcast, Sports Talk with me and Mongo. We're going to have an NFL free agency super show, as always, on the You Go Boy podcast. We got new episodes dropping soon, shortly. I'm just going to keep hopping on these lives. I'm going to keep yelling into the mic and yelling into the camera before me and Mongo get back together at Bravery Studios, live in lovely Garfield, New Jersey. Um, the NFL regular season and postseason is over, but the offseason has just begun. There's so many major dates coming up, major news, breaking news. We're going to dive into major stories over the next few weeks. But this was a major one today with the salary cap news coming down the pike that in the last 2 years, the salary cap, the price of the brick has gone up $53 million in the last 2 years. Come on, man. Come on, man. Free agency is right around the corner, man. And it's about that time for teams to begin to. This is when Super Bowls are won and lost now. Everyone thinks it's, oh yeah, when the games start. It's just when the games. Nah, man. It's the off season. Show me your work. I'll show you where you're going. It's just that simple. Show me your work. I'll show you where you're going. That's a bar. I came up with that on my own. I do that too. Run it up. Run it up. Do official video by myself. You go, boy. Available on all digital platforms. New video just dropped. Shout out to A1 Vision, Eddie Heartthrob, I Might Snap, my whole team. Listen. Show me your work. Show me what you've done. I'll show you where you're going. If you're not making moves right now in the coming weeks when free agency opens officially, if your offseason starts during the draft, you've already lost. And that's a big reason why Dallas is going on 30 years without a Super Bowl, because their offseason starts in the draft. The NFL draft is when their offseason starts. The last time Dallas used free agency was 2012. I'll say it again. 13 years ago, they got busy in free agency. They signed Brandon Carr. He was the top cornerback in the market. They signed like 13 or 14 guys. And they had Jason Garrett at head coach, which is why they missed the playoffs that year. I believe they went 8-8. That was the Jason Garrett special. But they at least tried. Free agency needs to be you need to get busy. Your offseason should start the second the new year starts. After the league year begins, that's when your offseason should start. It should not start during the draft. You can't skip. There's no skipping steps. There's no skipping steps. Your offseason starts with free agency. Obviously, you need a coach. Dallas decided to go with Brian Schottenheimer. God bless him. I'm rooting for him. I am. I felt some type of way before, but I'm over it now. He's put together a really good staff. I'm feeling Eberflus. I'm feeling Clayton Adams. I'm feeling White Cotton, who they got from the Jets. I'm liking the moves in terms of the K-State offensive line coach. I'm liking the staff he's put together. But again, let's talk about personnel now. Because again, the Eagles have laid out the blueprint. I said this in the last live. I said this in detail. The Eagles gave you the blueprint. Impact free agents, aggressive free agency and trades, hitting on your draft picks. Eagles have a low-key super team, man. And that sickens me. A low-key super team. They're the new Avengers. They're the new Avengers with a better GM and a better quarterback. Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy. He is. I hate to break it to San Francisco fans. I would take Jalen Hurts over Brock Montana. I would. Like Brock Purdy, I still say it. I just see Alex Smith. I see Alex Smith with a weaker arm. You know what I mean? So again, it's going to be interesting these next few weeks to see what happens, to see who does what, to see is Myles Garrett going to be traded? Is Micah Parsons going to get a new deal? These salary cap restructures. Who's going to be franchise tag? The franchise tag window just opened up. Oso Digizua, he's looking for $20 million a year. I don't know if he's coming back to Dallas because with the way we move our finances around, I don't know if they're finna give him $20 million. I'd actually be shocked if Osa comes back to Dallas, but who knows? Who knows? But a lot is going to be decided in the next few weeks, and we'll be here to talk about it. You know, me and Mongo will be in studio. I'll be here on live to chat it up with you guys and to dissect things in the NFL offseason. Again, new episodes of the You Go Boy podcast on the way with me and Mongo. Continue to like, subscribe, comment, share. We got episodes on the way. You guys are the best. You guys are the best. Thank you for all the birthday shout outs too, man. I got a lot of birthday love from supporters and followers of the pod on social media, all over Instagram, all over Facebook, all over TikTok, all over Twitter. Appreciate the love. Your boy just turned 37. I don't look it though. I look like I'm 27, man. You know, black don't crack, and I don't do crack on top of that. But shout out to everybody for supporting. Shout out to the Dominican Republic. I'm gonna keep slow clap for the Dominican Republic. Slow clap for Sosua, for Puerto Plata. You know, your boy had a good time. This smile has not left since I landed back in Newark International yesterday, man. I had a blast. That was my 5th time going. Shout out my boy G-Ray. He pulled up with me. I don't know where my next trip is going to be, but trust me, that will not be the last time I go to DR. It will not be. I shall return. But thanks to you guys for big thanks to everybody that pulled up. You know what I mean? I'm going to go live again. Probably at some point next week, within the next few days or whatever, or next few weeks, I'll go live again. Me and Mongo will be back in a few weeks. But thanks for pulling up, guys. And you see the hat. We do unfiltered, authentic conversations. That's what we do. And you know the saying is always, it means no worries. It's like Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. Yatzee. Love you guys. Peace.